Welcome to week 3 power rankings. And man, this was a difficult week to say the least. A lot of upsets throughout the NFL, but let's dive straight into it. To begin the honorable mentions, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers with a very nice win over the Denver Broncos, another very defensive focused win where the offense just didn't turn the ball over. It's a Steelers style. I don't hate it, but it's going to keep them out of the top 10 for the time being. Another honorable mention is the Los Angeles Chargers with a good win over the Carolina Panthers, where J.K. Dobbins had himself a nice day. But at the same time, it is against the Carolina Panthers. So, yeah, not going to be looked at in the same light as some of these other wins. Another honorable mention is the Green Bay Packers with a very nice win over the Indianapolis Colts, with Josh Jacobs having a good day on the ground and the offense doing just enough to win, relying on the defense making great plays against Anthony Richardson. The Arizona Cardinals are the final honorable mention with a very dominant and electrifying win over the Los Angeles Rams. And really, I'm just putting them here in the honorable mentions. They could have snuck in at 10, but some of the other upsets that happened this week, I'm favoring a little bit more than the Arizona Cardinals win over the Rams, in which they were favored. To kick things off with number 10, we have the Minnesota Vikings. A great win over the San Francisco 49ers this week. Sam Darnold is playing better than he has in his career. And who would have guessed, taking Adam Gase and the Carolina Panthers away from a quarterback will make that quarterback play better. 97-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, who is currently day-to-day with a quad injury, which is part of the reason why they're at 10 instead of 9. But the defense played really well, forcing 3 turnovers. And again, it was a good win. They have the Niners number when playing in Minnesota. And the Vikings are a team to look out for. They currently are atop of the NFC North, and they are playing really well and playing really electrifying. They have a tough matchup next week against the Houston Texans, so that should be interesting to see how they perform. But yeah, Minnesota comes in at number 10 to kick things off. Number 9 is the New Orleans Saints, and that was an incredible, dominating victory over the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys last year were one of the best teams at home, and they were entering this game with a 16-game home win streak. Well, the Saints just did not care. Alvin Kamara had 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground. Derek Carr had a rushing touchdown. I mean, it was just nonstop offense from the Saints today, as well as their defense doing a great job eliminating the Cowboys of opportunities. And the Saints are on a 15 drive streak of scoring points. It is an impressive start to the season for New Orleans. And they were one of the massive upsets of the weekend. I mean, they fully have earned a top 10 spot. I was hesitant to put them there last week because it was against the Panthers, but now that they had a very similar performance against what was a top team in the league last year, yeah, the Saints are going to be a tough team to beat in the NFC South. Number 8 is the Seattle Seahawks, and that was a hard-fought, great overtime win over the New England Patriots they had on Sunday. And the Patriots are a team that have been outperforming expectations so far this year. And the main point of emphasis for this game was both DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith and Jigba each having 100 plus yards receiving. It was a great day for both of them. DK even had that one long touchdown reception. The defense is playing well enough to get these wins alongside the offense playing well enough to score the points needed for these wins. They're playing complementary football at the moment, and it is fun to watch. So yeah, they come in at number 8. Number 7 is the Buffalo Bills, and yes, I fully admit they could be higher on this list, but give me a second, let me explain. They have had the Dolphins number since Josh Allen entered the league. So while the media and the sports book and everything had Miami favored, to me, the Bills were favored in this game. I expected Buffalo to win, but I was holding out hope that maybe this was the year Miami could steal one. That did not happen. James Cook had a dominant day in general. He had 1 receiving touchdown, 2 rushing. He had all of their offensive touchdowns today. Josh Allen was making plays left and right, and the defense was playing incredible. 3 interceptions on this day for Buffalo. One of them, as a Dolphins fan, not fully to his fault, but that's besides the point. But still, 3 interceptions is a hell of a day for a defense. They looked indominant. They looked unstoppable. It was a really long night to be a Dolphins fan on Thursday Night Football. But yeah, I got to admit, the Bills are an incredible team. Could easily be higher. But when you beat a team that I expect you to beat, I'm not going to give you too much credit for it. So yeah, the Bills are at number 7. Number 6 is the Detroit Lions. And It was a really tough game all around. The offense couldn't really get going. Jared Goff threw 2 picks. The defense still played incredible. Aiden Hutchinson had 5 sacks, which I think since Sunday has been reduced to 4.5. Either way, it was a near historic game for Aiden Hutchinson. And really, an effort like that in a loss is a tough one to see. My main gripe with the Lions is the fact that they are a really aggressive team, and that's just a style MCDC runs. Reason why I say this, it was early on in the fourth quarter. They were facing a fourth and medium from the plus 43-yard line. And it might seem ridiculous to suggest this because it would be about a 60-yard kick. But when you have a kicker like Jake Bates, I want to see him out there to try it. Because that would have completely changed the end of that game. Jake Bates has the leg to hit from 60. We saw it in the UFL in the spring. He can hit from 64 with ease in that same stadium. So I really would have liked to see them go ahead and try to kick it, but they didn't. They went for it on fourth down basically the entire fourth quarter. They couldn't get really any of them. And even with Amon-Ra St. Brown finally having a solid game this season, it was not enough, and thus the Lions fall to number 6. Number 5 is the San Francisco 49ers. And that was a tough loss to Minnesota, a team that has had your number while playing in Minnesota for what seems like 2 decades at this point. They're 0-6 since the turn of the century. And yeah, just a bad day. Jordan Mason still had a great game on the ground, over 100 yards. The defense still forced 3 turnovers, but you just couldn't never really get stuff going. The only time the offense was able to build a drive was off of Fred Warner turnovers. And yeah, you can only force so many turnovers in the game. They still barely won, but yeah, just a very, very tough game. And they got lucky with Kittle and with Nick Bosa's injuries not being anything too massive. Both of them were back in this game. But yeah, they need to figure something out because CMC is now on IR and going to miss the next 4 weeks. Yeah, the Niners are going to have a long next stretch of games, and we'll see. But they're at number 5 for the moment after, again, a tough loss to Minnesota. Number 4 is the Philadelphia Eagles, and yeah, they didn't drop too much after the loss to Atlanta, but here is my reasoning behind it. Besides that final minute or so of play, Philly was the better team in this game. The ground game was working really effectively. The pass game was doing well. Hurts being a pretty surgical passer tonight, even without AJ Brown. And the defense was making really solid plays and holding Atlanta when they needed to for the most part, including CJ Gardner-Johnson's incredible heads-up play with what should have been the game-winning fourth down stop. But that final minute of play happened. Saquon misses a completion which would have ended the game. Instead, they kicked a field goal and gave Atlanta a shot, and the defense just did not step up in that moment. But then the offense had a shot themselves, down by 1 with 2 timeouts. And that was a bad pass from Jalen Hurts on the game-sealing interception for Atlanta. Still, I do feel like Philly played a good game. It's just they needed to play a full 60 minutes, and they played 59 minutes. But yeah, I still have Philly at number 4. Hey, a win is a win, and the number 3 ranked Houston Texans will take a win after how Sunday night went. It was a messy game all around. The ground game couldn't get going for either side. It was really dependent on the pass game, and CJ Stroud played the part well. He was making plays with his legs, extending plays, and finding open receivers. He was throwing the ball well, especially to Nico Collins, who had himself a big day. And the defense was locked down against Chicago's offense with a lot of pressures against Caleb Williams. I've seen some stats that say it was 36 of 44 dropbacks he was pressured. I have seen others that said it was 26 out of 44. Either way, over half of these snaps Chicago took, Houston got pressure on them. The main docs are the fact that it was a very undisciplined style of play, with Houston having 12 penalties and really should have had 13 as there was a penalty miss on a punch. But nonetheless, they won. They got a good win in what was a very, very messy and drunk feeling game, especially that third quarter. But nonetheless, Houston comes in at a hungover number 3. Number 2 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they had an incredible, great, hard-fought win over Detroit on Sunday, a game of which the defense played really, really well. They had 2 interceptions on Jared Goff, although one honestly probably should have been either DPI or defensive holding, but no penalty was called. The play stands as a pick. You move on. You still have to play the rest of the game. And Tampa definitely did play the rest of the game. The defense did a great job not letting the aggressiveness of Detroit get to them with multiple key fourth down stops in that second half and particularly the fourth quarter of that one. And the offense. Yes, Baker got hit a lot in this game, but the offense still played really well. Baker was running around in that game. He has a rushing touchdown, of which he made 3 lines run into each other on said touchdown. And then the play before, he had a nice scramble where he juked a line out of his shoes. It was a good day from Baker. Chris Godwin stepped up in this one because Mike Evans was pretty much kept in check for the most part. So Chris Godwin had himself one hell of a game. And yeah, Tampa is looking like a real threat in the NFC. So they come in at number 2 in this week. Number 1 is none other than the Kansas City Chiefs. And yes, it was a narrow escape to the Cincinnati Bengals. And yes, that DPI for some people is questionable. For me, it wasn't. The defender got there early and did interfere with a potential catch process. The Chiefs' offense has not been playing great so far this season, which is making these wins even more impressive. Both the Ravens and Bengals are good teams, despite both being 0-2 at this point in the season. So the Chiefs finding ways to win these games, despite, again, the offense not performing as well, is really impressive. And this stat goes to show with it. The 151 passing yards Mahomes had this past week is the second fewest he has had in his career. And they still managed to win the game. It's an impressive feat, and like I've been saying these all season long basically at this point, or like the past 2 power ranking videos, as long as the Chiefs keep winning, they're going to stay at number 1. I've doubted them in the past, including last year's playoffs especially. There's video evidence of that on this channel. I'm not going to doubt them this season unless they truly give me reason to doubt them. And they just haven't at the moment. So they sit at number 1. All right, there you have it. This week's power rankings. Quick little recap. Number 10, the Minnesota Vikings. Number 9, the New Orleans Saints. Number 8, the Seattle Seahawks. 7 is the Buffalo Bills. 6 is the Detroit Lions. 5, San Francisco 49ers. 4, Philadelphia Eagles. 3, Houston Texans. 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And number 1, none other than the Kansas City Chiefs. Thank you all for watching. It'll be greatly appreciated if you subscribe and leave a like while you're at it as well. And also, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, your power rankings, what you thought of mine. You know the whole drill. I'll see you guys next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.